Hey, you guys, Dev Horn here at WeBuyHouses.com. We're so glad you could join us. We have a special guest today on WBH Live. It's Mr. Bob Shaw, who's been with us for 8 years in Boise, Idaho. And I also have my adorable and beautiful co-host, Mike Van Norden.
Howdy, everybody.
But I don't want to waste a lot of time. We want to kind of learn about Bob and really because he's a cool guy. I always feel like I'm cooler when I'm hanging out with Bob Shaw. So I kind of try to, pair up with him every now and then. But Bob, we're going to kind of ask you to just basically tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, and anything you want to tell us to kind of introduce us to who you are.
Okay. Well, generally, I'm a man of few words unless you get me talking about real estate. So maybe we can get to that part soon. But no, Bob Shaw, Boise, Idaho. Been here since 2006 by way of Salt Lake City is where I was kind of raised, and then a couple little seasons in Seattle and Portland. But I've been buying and selling houses in this market for about 15 years and dabbled a little bit in Portland and Seattle for about 5 years, and having lots of fun with We Buy Houses.
So I know you're a family man. How many kids you got?
2 boys, 11 and 12.
And Boise's such a beautiful area. I'm very, envious of what just you guys can go outside into some really beautiful places. Not so easy here in Texas. It's kind of flat and ugly, but I bet Boise's a nice place to raise a family.
Yeah, it's amazing. We're kind of surrounded by foothills, and then beyond that, about an hour and a half are some pretty amazing mountain ranges and things like that. Lots of glacial lakes, tons of rivers, lots of forests, and we're kind of out here on an island. It's 2 flights to anywhere, so other than maybe Salt Lake City, Portland, Seattle, but we're kind of in the middle of some pretty cool geography.
Do you guys do anything like mountain biking or hiking, or kind of what does your family like to do?
So the kids are really kind of starting to figure out what they like. One of them just joined a climbing team. The other one, I think he'd rather join an esports team, but we're trying to cultivate some more outdoor stuff. But no, we love camping. We've got like a travel trailer, and it's one of those you can pull your side-by-side up into. And so we'll go park somewhere for a week and zip around and, drop a line. We all love to fish, except for the esports kid.
Yeah.
Everybody really loves being in the outdoors, so.
That's cool. Well, let's, like you said, we want to talk about real estate and get your thoughts on it. And, one of the things I've been asking people, in asking about kind of their market and what they're experiencing, I'm asking people kind of what's it like now compared to, say, the last few years? What's changed, and that kind of thing. So tell us a little bit about the Boise market, kind of what's it like, and is it a hot market? Kind of tell us what your thoughts are.
Yeah, what a ride, right? After COVID, of course, we, jumped on a rocket ship and went to the moon. It's been wild. Everybody with the relocating, people moving around the country, a lot of them, it seems like, have ended up in Boise. And so I feel like our median price is probably close to tripled. Wow. It's been wild. And so, when you appreciate so quickly and then you have a little bit of a market change with the rates going up, it hit us pretty good. We haven't really decreased a whole lot, maybe 10-15% in some parts of the valley, but the highly desirable areas haven't really changed. So what we're seeing is like the $800,000 plus range has basically been unchanged. Everything like 500,000 and under, pretty similar, pretty big buyer's pool there. But everything between like 5 and 8, 5 and 9 has been a little tricky. And I've learned the hard way to not, focus on that range of properties right now.
Tricky in what respect?
So, unless you're using all your own cash to buy a house, you've got to pay some pretty significant holding costs through private money or hard money. And so what we used to be able to buy, send a cleaner into, and then list and have under contract and sold, literally 35 days in our inventory. Some of those higher square footage houses that people have to pay $5,000 a month for or more, they're sitting on the market for a while, and we need to put a pretty decent little cleanup on them first, at least carpet and paint, or they'll move along to the next thing. So we're having to do a little bit more in-depth remodel than we've had to do and prepare for more days on market. And a lot more contracts falling out too, which has been super frustrating, even though we went through all this in like 2010 to 2014. Mm-hmm. It's like we've forgotten. So we're learning real quick.
So days on market, Joel and I were talking about that last time. It's kind of one of his indicators of what he can offer is that, if he realizes days on market used to be 30 and now it's 120, it changes what he can offer. So how has days on market changed in your market, and how do you incorporate that into your calculation?
So what has really changed for me is I guess kind of my mantra has been, I love 1-bathroom houses. That's what I love. We're trying to feed on the bottom of the market, okay. Real easy to pull comps for a house like that. Way bigger buyer's pool. And it's still an affordable house, right? Like it's as affordable as it's going to get right now. So that's where you get a lot of your here it's Idaho housing. I think every state kind of has their, state government subsidized loans for 100% financing and things like that. But with that, you got your 90-day seasoning and anything else that may come into play. So that's how we're working through it. It's got to be a pretty dang good deal, for me to buy a house that the ARV is going to be, let's call it 600,000 as a median ARV. Unless we're taking over payments, not something I really want to be paying hard money or private money interest payments on.
Mm-hmm. Are you finding more people that are willing to allow you to take over payments subject to or whatever?
Yeah, it kind of seems like it's all the rage, and I think it will be for a couple of years. We're seeing a lot of agents list their houses as assumable, which we all know that's a little trickier to do than normal. But man, when those things become expired listings, it's a great one to be able to present a wrap to or something like that and take it over with a sub 2 the way we like to do it.
So what is the average ARV that you're aiming at?
I love 400,000. I love it. So in Ada County, which is kind of like the Boise area, 400,000 is amazing. Really under 5 is great, but the 1-bathroom houses, I think the tippy top you can get to is probably about 400,000. In Canyon County, we're probably about 300,000. So, it's kind of the outskirts, same age of a city, just, less desirable, I suppose.
Yeah. So how do you find most of your deals? Are you running a particular type of pay-per-click, or what do you kind of, how are you finding most of your deals these days?
So it's been a really interesting shift. We were doing all of the marketing before, other than direct mail, like everybody else. We were doing a lot of texting, cold calling, things like that, niche direct mail pieces. But now it's been kind of all grassroots. I feel like I've bought more from real estate agents in the last 2 years than I ever have. It's been great because there's no marketing expense there, and I always get so busy focusing on, the fancier marketing techniques that I kind of forget about realtors. I mean, I've had some agents I've bought 5 houses from in the last 5 or 6 years. So, if they know you're going to perform, that first one's super important. If they know you're going to perform, they'll bring you every single one they've got before they list it and use it as an option in their listing package, So agents mainly, wholesalers, unfortunately, but agents.
Mm-hmm. Do you exclusively buy, fix, flip, or do you do any wholesaling? Do you do any holding of properties for rental?
So now that we're not in the Portland, Seattle markets, generally up there we assigned the majority of our properties. We'd buy a few occasionally, but it was more like, if somebody didn't perform, then we needed to take it down, and we were going to make sure that the seller was taken care of. We weren't ever going to bail on anybody. In the Boise market, traditionally, I'd say we've been 95% fix and flip. It's just we've been here so long that it's almost easier to me to flip a house than it is to try and wholesale it like some of these guys are doing. When you got a good contractor and good money people and, good title company, it's just too easy. So I couldn't imagine doing it any other way, really.
But and you're not holding any, or do you have a portfolio of homes?
No. So we kind of liquidated everything a few years ago, which was great timing, I suppose. But right now we're just kind of in capital building mode, starting to tiptoe back into some other marketing strategies. There's some kind of secret stuff out there that we can talk about another time, but it's we're just kind of getting back into it a little bit. So we're building capital, and then at that point, I did buy a sub 2, and then I ended up selling it to somebody else because I just wasn't ready. So I'm not ready to start buying and holding quite yet. So build capital, and then we'll start picking up these sub 2s and really go after them pretty hard. But there seems to be a lot of them, so I'm not worried about them running out anytime soon.
Have you done anything to foster your relationship with realtors?
Yeah, just outreach. Just trying to connect with people, and dare I say, networking. Oh,
that's so old school, Bob.
Right? It's not something I've ever really loved doing, but it's after I do it, I'm always glad I did. That's how I've always approached networking. Is like, I'm not going to do that, but I've really pushed myself in the last couple of years to get out there and meet people. And there's a lot of good people out there, a lot of good contacts, so it's been great. So yeah, just all networking really. I think we're going to start focusing on, like I wanted to buy this last year for Christmas. We had some Yetis made with We Buy Houses branding on it. And, I gave it away to like my favorite planners, that I would like to maybe pay a little bit more attention to me and things like that. Mm-hmm. Gave it to a few of our agent friends. So I thought at the end of a transaction, when we sell something, maybe I'd offer to take them to coffee or something like that and get something that has the brand on it that they would use a lot, a $300 or $400 Yeti cooler or something like that. They'll see all the time, and just kind of start cultivating that relationship organically as opposed to just outreach. They've actually done a property with us and seen that we're the real deal. And I think it's amazing when you get old how all the little things you could have done slowly and consistently over the years. I feel like consistency is so key. No matter what you do, if you do it consistently, it'll reap rewards. So I'm really trying to focus on that stuff because it's free.
Yeah.
Hey, Bob, do you feel that leveraging the brand initially help realtors be more amenable to working with you?
I do. I really do. We had done some kind of small email campaigns and things like that and did really well with it. We even sponsored the MLS. We were on their dashboard, and that worked out really well until some junior detective. Yeah, some junior detective agent saw the phrase on the website that says, no need to work with an agent. Go straight to WeBuyHouses.com, and then they yanked us from there. But so I don't know. Maybe that's an opportunity to have like another tab to our webpage or something like that too, that we could market. But yeah, that worked out really well. And it was a great intro to a lot of good relationships that we've cultivated over the years.
Yeah, it seems like if you just went back a few years, I'm betting that, pre the rates going up, when the market was super hot, that probably realtors weren't really reaching out that much to cash buyers because they had no problem finding a buyer. And so do you think, and then also the assumable loan or the subject to type scenario seemed to be not that common a few years ago. I wasn't hearing people talk about subject to that much. But now kind of what I'm hearing from you is realtors are actually reaching out, and then many of the listings are actually mentioning assumable loans. So you're seeing more of this is kind of my question.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think back to that realtor relationship, if they've had experience with you where you're the real estate expert, you've told a few real estate stories, they know that you're creative and that you're looking out for the seller's best interest too. Of course, we want to make money, but the way that we've always done business is here's how you can make the most money. If we make sense to you, great. And those agents are gonna be like, hey, Bob, my client deceased and his kids want to sell the house, but there's no equity. I doubt there's anything you can do with it, but take a look at it. It's like, yeah, I can actually get them $20,000 to help pay for all the probate and stuff, and then we'll take over those payments. And they're deceased, so they're not worried about their credit. So those types of opportunities, if you've got the relationships in place, they just fall into your lap.
When you think about who is selling their home right now to We Buy Houses, is it older people? Is it younger people who inherited a house? Do you see tired landlords who don't want their rentals anymore? Kind of who are you seeing if you just think about last few deals?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question. I feel like that's something I should be documenting and keeping track of. But I've always felt like the vast majority of our sellers are the ones that just don't want to deal with the whole listing process. I think I heard somebody say it last week that it's like somebody trading in your car. You'll gladly lose the $3,000 to not deal with the crap that comes with selling the car yourself, right? So I think it's the similar mentality. It's just people that they understand that their house needs some work and they don't want to go through the whole process. So I think I don't want to say lazy, but the less motivated sellers that are motivated the most.
You don't want to say lazy, but you.
Well, I get lazy sometimes. Yeah. I don't think it's derogatory. We all recognize that within ourselves, right?
For sure. So, Mike, you got anything you want to jump in? I'm kind of hogging the mic here.
No, I think it's the fact that Bob has had success with realtors is something that we've really never broached before. We never even really talked about that, have we?
A little bit. In group meetings and stuff we have.
Yeah, but I think that it's not utilized. I don't think that most investors really think of that because they're always, it's like with realtors, it's like they're not going to be open to working with you. They only know one thing. I guess that would be my question is, do you find that most of the realtors are fairly responsive, or do a lot of them, they really don't want to work with an investor? What's been your experience?
You get all kinds, just like any industry, there's people that think that they're the smartest. And so those are the ones that you quickly realize that you don't want to work with. But the ones that are open and just want to have a relationship or maybe fascinated by the whole idea and Maybe later they'll have a relationship and they just want to shoot the breeze. Yeah, I think that I've had really good response. I mean, we're in the same industry, you know. Who would you rather go to ask for leads than somebody that is literally a full-time real estate professional, you know? And if you let them know right up front, hey, I know that literally 99.9% of the real estate leads that you come across, we're not going to be a good fit. But for that 0.1% that is a good fit, it'll be a dream for everybody. You know, the seller will get all the money that they can get for a quick closing. You'll get a full 6% commission. I'll get a property, and away we go.
And I would imagine that it really only takes 2 or 3 realtors to feed you enough deal flow, right? I mean, you don't need 50 realtors. I mean, you just need a couple.
It'd be good to have 50.
It would, but
yeah.
I just don't know if it's, you know, it seems like it'd be hard to manage. It seems like if you had 3 or 4 that were just really constantly.
Yeah, I think that there are just some agents and some people in general that just attract these types of, you know, clients. And so those are the ones where every time they bring me one, I'm like, wow, this is crazy. You know, like another one of these, this is awesome. And they know exactly what to expect from us, you know, and like the deals that we get from the website or, you know, like a traditional lead, those we can kind of handle however we want, you know, set them up for a 30-day close at that, you know, if our inventory is loaded and we want to, you know, try and make it a smooth purchase for us, then we'll put it out 30 days. You know, we've got a couple closings coming up in the next few weeks, and it's just a smooth transition to move that money over to the new property. But with the agents, like I bust out the A game, you know, like, hey, when do they want to close? If title can be ready tomorrow, we'll close it. You know what I mean? Just really try and show off. And then when they're after, treat them like the client, you know? They bring me a gift card to the closing, and I've got one for them.
Yeah.
You know?
That's awesome,
so,
man.
Yeah, just show them that you love them. I think goes a long way.
We had talked. Go ahead, Mike.
No, I was just going to say, I'm glad you brought this up, the whole networking aspect, because, you know, I'm old school too, in my 50s. Now, I remember that's all we had in the 90s, man. We just going out, meeting people, shaking hands, kissing babies. It almost was like being political, right? But you had to get your name out there. So it's good to see that it actually still works in 2024.
Oh, yeah.
So that's awesome, man.
Yeah, no, I think it's how I've operated the last 2 years. I haven't really spent much on marketing at all, you know, so it's been great. So it's nice to know that if worse came to worse and I had to turn everything off and it was just me, that I could at least make a living, you know. I wouldn't be getting rich, but, you know, I can make a living. So that's what a network will do for you, I think.
Hey, what about wholesalers? You kind of mentioned them earlier. You got any wholesaler relationships that are good ones that bring you decent deals? What are your thoughts on wholesaling?
Yeah, so like we were just talking about how there's some people that just attract these types of properties. There's some wholesalers out there that they're good at it, man. And man, I wish I could share a picture with you right now that I've got a pile. It might take too much time because I'm getting old, but it's like a 8-foot tall, 50-foot long pile of junk that we just pulled out of this house, you know. And what wholesaler who doesn't?
You need to share the picture with me, and then when we produce the video, we'll stick it right here.
Yeah.
So go ahead and tell
Okay.
what is this picture?
Yeah. So anyway, what wholesaler, you know, who maybe they flip a couple of the houses a year or something like that, but what wholesaler wants to take on a project like that? You know, it's a little much when you got to spend 10 grand on a junk out, literally hire an excavator to come pick up the junk and put it into a dump trailer because there's so much stuff. For us, it's a phone call, right? Like you call your superintendent, say, hey, got another one, you know, and then 2 months later, it's just done and you list it. So it's not intimidating to us at all. So we try and be valuable to them in that regard. And then just like the agents, I treat them like gold. It took me a lot of years to figure this out, but man, you get a good wholesaler that knows they've got a slam dunk with you as a buyer and you want to pay them as much as you possibly can. without sacrificing like a respectable profit for ourselves, you can do well. So same with the agents. That's all I've done the last 2 years is work with these wholesalers. And if they're kind of newish, I'll 100% offer to run ARVs for them. I mean, I'm already in the MLS all the time, so it's not hard. Hey, I won't steal your deal, I promise you, because I want you to bring me more. So if you want me to go look at the property and tell you what I think it would take, like if my offer's too low, that's cool. I'll even give you a buyer's list. You want a buyer's list?
That's awesome. Are you licensed agent?
No, my wife is. I was for, I don't know, I sold a couple hundred of my houses. And then one day I was just like, that's it. No more. I can't do this anymore.
Do you think there's an advantage as an investor to not be licensed? Like, does a license complicate things as far as your relationship with a seller?
I don't think so. I think legally there's some interesting things, and I know in some markets you have to be licensed in order to wholesale.
That's what it's
and it probably would be valuable like for an acquisitions person, or an acquisitions manager that is working for you. But I personally don't like the feeling of being licensed and buying and selling houses. Generally, I was buying at auction when I had my license, so I didn't really get a whole lot of experience doing that. But I think I did maybe 4 or 5 off-market purchases when I was licensed, and just the fact that I basically have to use a 15-page contract and disclosures was enough to make me want to get rid of my license. And also selling a house when you have your licenses, if you're actually listing it, that's about the most uncomfortable thing ever, because they send you a list of repairs they would like done, and you're like, no, I will not make those repairs for you, as opposed to, the seller says no.
Yeah. What about your team? It's one of the things I want to talk about next week, kind of how people staff their operation. For some people, it's themselves and their wife, and for other people in our family, they've got 15, 20 people working at a company. What does your team look like, including kind of your contractors and things? How do you do this? What kind of group of people do you involve to do what you do?
Yeah, so we thinned way down, when we started to refocus just on Boise and not these external markets. It's basically me. JJ's working a little bit. He also has some other stuff that he's doing. And my wife, Amy, the agent, who is in all these Facebook groups, by the way. I'm the one talking to you, not her. But, and then I've got a superintendent that's amazing. He's the kind of guy that will be texting me on Sunday night, like, hey, I'm over here looking at the trim job, and I don't know, I feel like they should redo some of it. I'm like, dude, it's 6:00 on Sunday. What are you doing? So I got lucky there, but that's more valuable than people, I think put stock into. That's an incredibly valuable role to have. I did just hire a VA a few days ago. I didn't invite her to this call, but she'll watch the replay, I'm sure. But and I think I'm just going to have her be a leads manager, that kind of sets appointments and make sure nothing slips between the cracks when, you can't get somebody on the phone or they ghost you on the appointment. She'll make sure that she doesn't stop calling them until we get a yes or a no, which is something I'm not the best at that kind of stuff. I like to be out and about. But that's it for right now.
Is your VA a local? Are they in the U.S. or outside the U.S.?
No, she's in the Philippines. And so I'm hoping to just have her, be full-time sales as the leads manager, and then maybe hire a part-time or a full-time admin / dare I say bookkeeper. I don't know if I can outsource that again, but I think that would be pretty valuable. And then from there, it's just plugging in acquisitions guy. I do have a guy who's actually been a wholesaler here locally. I shouldn't skim over this. He's incredible. He's been wholesaling and been in real estate for 20 years. And he and I decided to kind of partner up, and he's going to be boots on the ground acquisitions guy. And that was a hard one for me to let go. But I read something in that Who Not How book the other day. It was a phrase, something like, just because you're good at something doesn't mean you should be doing it. And so I kind of had to, that's what kind of put the nail in the coffin. Somebody else should be buying our houses for us. So we'll work him in.
Yeah. How did you find your VA? Did you, somebody recommend this one to you, or how'd you find it?
No. So I posted on our Facebook group, and I think I got a couple of replies a little later for Rivas and who I've used in the past. And then I'm part of a local real estate group here in Boise that somebody recommended. My Out Desk is what they're called, and it's owned by a real estate investor. And they've got a couple thousand VAs. And so far with the process, I've been impressed. But, it's a lot of work getting somebody trained up.
Yeah, it's a topic I would like to discuss with the whole group, when we're together, just kind of because there's been a number of questions, people asking about VAs and recommendations, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Let's, I've had you in this hot seat here for a while. Let's just kind of start to focus on what do you think? And I know you're not a fortune teller, neither am I or anybody else on the call, but kind of what do you think about the market ahead, like the next year or so in real estate, in Boise or just in general?
I expect things to pick up, which it will, right? It's just a matter of when. I don't think prices are going down anytime soon, even with a recession. I think this is kind of the way it's going to be. Houses are going to be really expensive, so you should buy them while you can. I'm not a huge conspiracy theorist, but I feel like at some point it's going to be almost unattainable for people to be able to buy a house. If that's in 100 years or in 500 years or in 10 years, I don't know. So I would love to be able to buy some houses that, I can hang on to and hand down to the old kiddos, because otherwise they may be renting from Blackstone.
I always feel like it's you guys that are providing affordable housing. Builders don't want to build an entry level 322 house. They want to build a palace, Yeah. And so without investors buying and restoring these homes, I wonder what people, in the entry level market, they would have so little to choose from.
Oh yeah. As bastardized as we kind of were, I feel like after the last recession, literally what would happen to those houses? What would happen to those houses? So I feel like we don't get the credit that we deserve. The big bad investor that wants to get such a good deal on the house. It's like, hold on. If you remodel this house, your general contractor is going to want to get paid for coordinating all this stuff, right? So, but yeah, that new construction actually is a very interesting topic. We built a couple dozen houses over the years, and you're right. It's like there's a certain point where like a 2,500 square foot house is the most cost effective as far as price per square foot to build, but that's not what we don't need any more huge houses. We need little 1,000 square foot 3-bed 2 baths. And the zoning here just changed December 1 of last year, and it's wild, man. It's crazy. You can build an ADU on every house, basically without on off-street parking. And so that'll be the strategy after our capital building season is over with. Like a couple of these houses that I have now, you'd fix it up, put a renter in there, build a little 800 square foot ADU in the back, rent that out for profit, which you couldn't do before. And it's like getting a free building lot if you intend to keep it. It's pretty incredible.
It really is. I remember a few years ago, I was hanging out in Vancouver up in British Columbia, and they had made that change, and everybody was adding these things to their houses on top of their garages or, wherever they had space, so they could rent them out. It's pretty cool. Have you, I know that in the last few years, we saw a lot of activity from hedge funds, big players. And I know, like here in Texas, I want to say maybe last year or year before that 40% of the homes were bought by by investors, most of them being institutional. Do you see the hedge funds guys active in your market in any way?
So I think American Homes for Rent is still here, but they've pulled back quite a bit. That's the only hedge fund I've sold to over the years, I believe. And, they were bidding against us at auction. Actually, a buddy of mine used to work for them. But yeah, I don't think that, Blackstone or any of the big ones ever really made it to Idaho. But again, it's been like 15 years, 10, 15 years. So I don't even know that I can remember. I barely remember going to auction, even though that's all we did for 4 years. But there were some, I don't know if they were hedge funds, but there were definitely some bigger companies that were, bidding against. But we don't see a lot of that anymore.
I was wondering, one of the ways that hedge funds were doing this is they were getting 2.5% money and just buying everything they could with it. And now that's gone. They're probably looking at 6.5% money or whatever the rate would be for them today. So it seems like their cost of money has doubled, and then they were in just playing this upward climb in the market, and the market, like you said, didn't really seem to. Prices didn't fall a lot, but in a lot of cases they kind of stalled out and began to retreat a little bit. I think here in Dallas-Fort Worth, we're probably, for a kind of the median home, we're probably down 10 to 15% in last 18 months, something like that.
Yeah, sounds comparable.
Yeah. So everybody, when they go see their Zillow estimate, they're not as stoked as they used to be. Because they've definitely come down. Our buddy Travis in Las Vegas has had a lot of luck.
Never heard of him.
And he I got a mugshot. I'll share with you sometime. But he has had great luck with Airbnb. I was wondering, was that ever a strategy that you looked at? Have you done anything with Airbnb?
Oh man, I've thought about it. I just don't. Travis sounds like he's got a great cleaner / manager team there, which I haven't really spent enough time on. But yeah, if I bought and held enough houses like Travis and Janie have, then I'm certain that would be one of the strategies. But I don't have any of those right now.
Yeah, I forget their numbers. I don't know if he's still on the call, but they had like 60 houses and like 25 were Airbnb or something like that. A good chunk of them. And I've definitely, talked to a few people who have explored the Airbnb strategy. Anybody watching the video, there's a video where Travis goes deep into the Airbnb thing. If you want to hear that, see that, reach out to me. I'm gonna once again. Hey, Mike, you had any other things? I'm gonna start kind of.
No, we've been yakking too much. We should open this thing up. Let's see if there's any more questions.
All right. Yeah, let's do that. Any of you guys on the call have a question for Bob or want to comment on his full sleeve tattoos? Anything like that? The Pizza Wolf T-shirt. Bob gets dressed up for these calls, obviously.
Yeah, that's right.
Expect nothing less.
Any of you other guys have questions?
Hey, good morning. It's Joel here.
Hey, Joel.
Bob, I like what you're saying, and even though I am an agent, I kind of got maybe a little burned on working with agents. Just but you're right. I love what you're saying. Just a comment, then a question. Home sales nationally hit a 30-year low last year, but there's still 1.5 million agents that belong to NAR. Their membership decline was almost imperceptible, and we're at a 30-year low. I mean, there's. In fact, I got the numbers right here. I was bringing them up while you were looking, or while you were talking. So there's 1.5 million agents, and I believe fewer than 4 million. I don't have it right now, but fewer than 4 million home sales last year. So that's not good for an agent.
1.25.
Yeah, so That's not good if you're an agent. So clearly it's in an agent's best interest to work with us because like Dev said, where I sit here in Texas, I think we're the only ones working to fix that affordable living, affordable housing thing. So here's what I want to know.
Yeah.
When you're talking to these agents, what gets their attention? I mean, is it something as simple as you got a house too nasty to list? Let's talk. How do you, what perks their ears up?
So I could send you a couple of the emails that I sent, but it's just, I try and be conversational so that it doesn't look like, if it's an email or something like that, I try to not make it look like some big branded, big blast. I kind of try to make it feel like a one-off email. But yeah, when I talk to them on the phone, I just, super casually explain that we buy and sell houses, and we make it super easier for sellers. So if they ever have somebody that's reluctant, certainly if it's an agent that's been around a while and they've touched a lot of properties, I'm certain she's run into a client or two that has just been hard to drag across the finish line of actually getting it listed, cleaning the house out, de-junking, repairs, whatever. I try and focus on that, and just be like, hey,
So you're not only networking, but you're cold calling these people.
So that's more like if I encounter an agent.
Okay.
I'm not really cold calling people. That's more like the Keegley way. I don't know if you guys have heard of Keegley, but that's kind of their system is cold calling agents and stuff, which is fine. I'm sure it's effective. But I prefer the more organic route and then just some emails and stuff like that. But I would never like cold text or anything like that. Cold call realtors, I don't think.
Hey, Joe, can I step in real quick? Hang on, I know you probably have another question, but I was wondering, Bob, on the email, are you being judicious in who you send them to? Are you selectively going after specific agents, or do you just look at the KW list and say, I'm just going to send a personalized email to these KW agents locally and see who responds?
Yeah, so I think maybe we would talk more about that off the public meeting.
Mm-hmm. Got it.
Some super secret stuff, right?
Oh, cool. Okay. That's what I was hoping to hear.
It's a teaser.
Good deal. Love it. Hey, Joe, were you done, buddy? You have something else?
I am done. Thank you.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm done. Thank you.
Okay.
Anybody else have a question, comment? Anything for Bob? Want to tell Bob he did a good job today? A lot of people watch this like television, which is okay. It's cool. It's cool.
Yeah, there's people that have questions.
Thanks, Jay.
Proud of you, buddy.
Yeah, you guys can email me or call me. I love talking about real estate. So Robert S. at WeBuyHouses.com, or I probably shouldn't give my cell number out, but email me and then I'll give you my cell number. How about that? But I'd love to chat, with you guys about what y'all are doing and share successes and stuff. Definitely working on a couple of really cool, interesting new things that would love to kind of split test with. I know that Travis and I have done that a few times in the past. Would love to do that with a few people. We've got some interesting stuff going on. So
awesome.
Maybe we could do a training internal, something like that. Make it worth Bob's while to reveal these secrets.
Well, for you guys, they're free. It's just that this is on a public YouTube channel. You got to be in the tree of trust first.
Yeah, we won't even leave your email
in the tent.
That's right.
Well, cool. And I do appreciate that, you're willing to have a conversation that we can put out, because a lot of our meetings are private and they're valuable for us, but they don't give us much opportunity to kind of share WeBuyHouses.com with the world, which is kind of one of the things we're trying to do a little bit more of. And with that, I'd like to just say a few things, and then I'll kind of wrap. Next week, so in March, we're doing a meeting every Thursday at 2 p.m. Central. Next week, it is a private mastermind call, so it's just WeBuyHouses.com. And so that's kind of and I do like doing these as long as we have people willing to sit and chat with us. This is a lot of fun for me, and I hope it is for you guys. So I see us continuing to do this as we go into April. Kind of 3 meetings where we're kind of more open, and we can put it on the channel, and then 1 meeting where it's private and we can discuss things that we wouldn't share with the rest of the world. One of the cool things about We Buy Houses is that when we're in a room together, everybody's in their own market. Like, nobody's competing with each other, and that's why our guys are able to talk about what they're doing and not worry about the other guy just taking the idea and implementing it right on top of them, that kind of thing. So there's a lot of advantages to that. So that's what's going on. If you're watching the call, the meeting, and you'd like to attend a future meeting, one of these meetings with us, just reach out to live@webuyhouses.com, and we'll get back in touch with you and have you register and that kind of thing. Bob, man, it was awesome to spend some time with you. I think.
Thanks, guys.
I do want to let people know that, and thanks, Bob. I mean, the level of this conversation, what you're willing to reveal, I really appreciate it. And if others are interested in finding out more about We Buy Houses, we certainly get more granular and more detailed, internally once you become a member. You can reach out to me, Mike@webuyhouses.com, and I'd be happy to talk to you about it, see if you'd be a good fit.
Awesome. Perfect. I do feel like we didn't joke around as much as we normally do, so. Because you're a pretty funny guy.
Bob's a serious guy, though, in the moment, right? He's off camera.
He's a funny guy, but his wit's kind of dry, or Bob always catches me off guard.
Weird? Is that what you're trying to say? I'm
weird
a weirdo? I'll own that.
Weird. I'm damn proud to be weird, brother. If you can't be weird,
right.
What kind of world are we living in?
Well, this has been fun, though. I like this series. I think it's a great idea. It'll be a good way for us to, an hour mastermind every now and again is awesome, but it just doesn't feel like, there's a lot of separate conversations that begin from little conversations.
Well, and also like these conversations, like this whole track we went down talking about realtors, from the corporate level, I'm thinking of like, what could we do to maybe. Because realtors is a nice subset, and you can find them, either through pay-per-click or Facebook or whatever, and get a message in front of them that is, the corporate version of what you do, which is, we make it easy. If you have a problem property or seller in a hurry, doesn't want to deal with the hassle, and I think that's been an enlightening thing from this call, because I think a few years ago, people weren't telling me they were getting anything from realtors. So, as we talk, I'm always wondering, what's different about now? How are we reacting to that? And what's likely are we heading into? Because you're trying to adjust your strategy a little bit in real time. But one of the things you said at the beginning, I'm gonna use as a closing kind of comment, is you talked about consistency. And I think that's a challenge for a lot of us in our business, is we try something for a while and we're not getting everything we want from that, so we kind of drop that and then we go try something else. And I have definitely seen the people that are really successful have this trait of consistency. They kind of figure out things that work and they will repeat that. And then if they do something different, they're not stopping the thing that's, the first thing. They're kind of layering on strategies, but they're consistent. Hard thing for small business owners. And I kind of think of us all as small business owners, and that, we're not Blackstone. We got limited funds, limited time. But I do appreciate your thoughts on that. It's been a great hour with you, just about. Do you have any closing comments or thoughts before we say goodbye?
No, I appreciate you guys. I think just to speak of the brand, the last thing I would say is, how long did you say we've been with you? Since 2015 or something like that?
8 years.
In our little market of Boise, Idaho, we, if nothing else, we at least get like 2 big fat deals out of organic WeBuyHouses.com leads. And I mean, that always pays for all the marketing for multiple years just from one deal, right? So everything else is just gravy as far as I'm concerned. And you guys definitely make it quite a value. So we appreciate that.
That's awesome.
Love it. Thanks for the plug, Bob.
Yeah, I do appreciate that. Well, with that, I am going to let you go and get back to your business and your family and beautiful Boise, Idaho. Thank you for joining us. All you guys that joined today, JJ, great to see you. Great to see so many of the old timers on here, Patrick and Brooks and TJ and Yolanda and Shreveport. And so it's just great group of people. I'm so glad that y'all joined us today. So next week, private mastermind, I'll send that out. And then week after that, I'm going to try to get Travis Sure to come in, sit in the hot seat for an hour with us. So he's already said he will. I just got to clear the date. Anyway,
Awesome.
So
Thanks,
that's
Bob.
the plan.
Great job, man.
Thanks
Bob.
guys.
Take care, buddy.
We'll see you guys.
See you later.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Any house